Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Undersea Tiny Room. I am the host of the podcast, Michaelandbenjaminspodcast. I am Michael, and I am joined by the man who was recently voted the 147th best podcaster in all of Ireland. It's Benjamin.
Yeah, baby, up 2 points from last year. Win! I'll take that. Michael was recently voted second best podcaster of all time.
Oh, thanks, man.
So it was nice, you know. It was good for him. I mean, do I feel a bit negated and overshadowed? Yeah. I mean, do I have feelings of inadequacy sprouting from that? Yeah. Is it affecting my relationship with loved ones? Yeah. I mean, it might be. I don't know if smashing things in the kitchen and screaming in anguish would be considered affecting a relationship, but my family certainly seems to think so.
Ben,
but yeah,
how is it affecting your relationship with doing the theme tune?
During the theme tune? You mean this one?
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music, but I hope someone will make some up for us. I don't wanna name any names. Rachel, I hope it's Rachel.
Ben, the reason I called you the 147th most popular Irish podcast host of all time is because I don't know if you know this, but Aquaman was voted the 147th best superhero of all time by Wizard Magazine in the 2000s.
That seems a bit low for me, Michael. But we'll get to that later in the podcast, Michael. Very nice. I like the use of foreshadowing. I'm looking forward to seeing that. You know, recur. That's your Chekhov's gun. You've placed it on the table, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have to do something with that later on in the podcast. Excellent.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
Speaking of last week, which I know you weren't, but
Go on.
I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Netflix stole our bloody idea, the sons of bitches.
The son of a bitch.
Because Ben, last week, I don't know if you remember, you probably do, because you were one of the two people involved. We did a whole podcast about short, spooky films for Halloween.
Spooky, scary skeletons sending shivers up your spine, but in this case, spooky, scary shorts sending shivers up your spine. Yes.
Yeah, up your shorts.
Oh, I didn't send shivers up anybody's shorts, Michael. Settle down.
Ah, boring week, Ben.
Yeah, I was busy. I'm covered in charcoal.
So Ben,
charcoal.
Oh, what? Were you in the coal mines again?
Yeah. I've got the black lung, pup.
Very good. Benjamin, no, what Netflix did, look, Ben, that's enough joviality now for a moment. Let's talk about serious Netflix stuff. Ben, they released a series of short films called Don't Watch This.
Fuck's sake. Bastards. We didn't get an ounce of credit. They definitely listened and just whipped it together as well.
Whipped it together in a day because they released it the day after we released the episode. Ben, I have had the pleasure of watching one of them. It's fine. It's okay. Some of them are a bit long. Some of them are very short, Ben. They are true shorts.
No, shorty shorts.
Like 2 or 3 minute shorts. As in,
like short shorts.
The type of thing you would expect to see on a YouTube, not on a Netflix.
The correct answer there, Michael, is we like short shorts, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
For future reference. For future reference.
Well, Ben, I mean, do we? I live in Ireland. It's very cold.
I like a long short, often made out of denim, sometimes called jeans.
Yes, Ben, I have quite thick, hairy thighs. So,
which must be covered at all times, lest it cause a fervour in the female community of Ireland.
Yes, there was a legal case a few years ago. The people versus hairy leg man. That's not great.
You were accused of whipping chung ones into a frenzy. It was a whole thing.
Ben, since we're going completely off topic here, speaking of Netflix horrors, did you watch The Haunting of Hill House?
Michael,
do you know ghosts?
Michael, can you what kind of definition are you getting on the screen there from my webcam? I don't know the quality.
I've got a pretty decent look at you there.
Do you notice what I can only describe as something akin to a large nebula resting under each eye? Some people would call them bags under my eyes, Michael. And it's interesting. You get these in a number of ways. They can be stress-induced. They can be genetic, or they can be from a sheer lack of sleep, Michael.
Drugs.
And I think, well, I've stayed away from the drugs, as you know, Michael, since yesterday when I firmly vowed to quit them. But this time it's sheer exhaustion that's causing, Michael, because I have seen a little bit of The Haunting in Hill House, and fuck me,
Ben, is that a spooky ghost there behind you?
Fuck off, Michael. Leave me alone. I can't take this. I can't take this, Michael. This is not why I got into podcasting. I got into podcasting for the sheer recognizability.
Ben, it's quite a good show, isn't it?
It's fucking good, Michael. Production values are stellar. Carla Gugino remains the most attractive woman going. Like, she's just a very attractive woman.
Great casting of her daughters as well. They all look
suitably
like
related. Her. It's excellent work all round. It's a bloody good show, Michael.
I saw the trailer, Ben, and I thought Carla Gugino was Evangeline Lilly. They're kind of blending into the same woman a little bit.
They are a touch. But Carla's got sheer gravitas, Michael. She's been around for a long time. Do you see Gerald's Game? Gerald's Game was a great little horror.
I did. I enjoyed Gerald's Game. She was in that. She was in your favourite film, Sucker Punch.
She was in. I love it. Well, no, I don't actually, Michael. Let's see. She
was in everyone else's favourite film, Sin City, where she had to cut off her own hand.
She did. She had to cut it off to stop.
Oh, did she cut it off, or did the man cut it off?
He cut it off. Didn't he? Yeah, he woke up, but then I think she gets revenge, doesn't she? She takes care of business. Carla Gugino, just a great all-round woman. You know, did a couple of dud movies at the beginning of her career and just seems to have hauled herself up by her bootstraps, kept herself in fantastic shape, Michael.
Oh, Ben, stop commenting on her body shape.
Fantastic. Sorry. Carla, if you're listening and want to sponsor the podcast, or just sponsor me.
Sponsor Ben.
I'm around.
In a kind of toy boy type situation.
I do actually need a patron to continue my artistic career, so if you would, just throw a few shekels my way.
Ben, can we talk about the show instead of you just
sorry,
talking about Carla Gugino?
Anyway, in that, she acts bloody well as well, Michael. She's a great actress.
Good acting, yeah.
And bloody unnerving stuff in that poxy show, Michael. Jesus, some of the imagery, Michael. The ghosts, Michael. Oh, the ghosts.
I like the ghosts, Ben. I think that the ghost scene at the end of the first episode is one of the best ghost scenes of all time.
The willies, Michael. The willies.
The ghosts of dead willies.
I love the fucking format of it, Michael. The 3 episode arcs. The each sibling being a stage of grief. Oh, it's just wonderfully networked, Michael. There's tropes in there. They're sewn deep.
Themes. Maybe we'll do a full episode about it at a later date, Ben.
We probably should, Michael, because it's. You could almost do one of our classic "What Even Is" episodes where we dissect it, because it's been adapted so many times. It's the original incarnation.
Oh yeah, that's
Michael.
True.
It's a Shirley Jackson novel. Anyway, we'll get to it. It's a Shirley Jackson novel.
Good idea,
way
Ben.
Back in the day.
Good idea.
Great show, Michael. The ghosts are unnerving. It's that great kind of creeping horror. With the occasional jump scare. I like the 2 timelines. It's like what Stephen King could do if he took himself seriously as a writer. Or had an ounce of integrity and wasn't so into child sex scenes.
My friend Stephen King or the author Stephen King?
No, the author Stephen King. Very much the author Stephen King. Because we wouldn't want to besmirch your friend Stephen King. That's all. No, we'll have less of that. He's a good egg.
Ben, speaking of a Netflix though.
Go on.
Because recently, Ben, we talked about The Witcher.
Yes, bloody Witcher.
And how it's upsetting people.
Yeah, it's upset me a bit this week, Michael.
How did it upset you? In what case? In what type of scenario did you find? In what kind of scenario did you find yourself upset in some way?
Well, the fucking shitty reveal of bloody Henry Cavill as The Witcher.
It doesn't look great, does it?
It's the laziest piece of fucking shit going. They click down what's it called? A clacker? Is it a clacker? Is that what it is? Clacker?
I would call it a clapperboard.
It's a clapperboard. They click the clapperboard. They clack the clapperboard. They clabber the clapperboard. I don't know what that was. I'm very jittery today, Michael.
Ben, talk about Henry Cavill. Come on.
Yeah, sorry, Henry Cavill. And he just strolls up from out of the shadows in what looks to be a very cobbled together version of Geralt of Rivia.
It looks. Ben, I know a few weeks ago we banned the term "it looks like a cosplay." But it looks like a not that good cosplay.
Do you know what this is, Michael? Do you know what this is?
What?
This is Joaquin Phoenix. This is Joaquin Phoenix Joker syndrome.
Go on.
That is exactly the marketing technique that is currently being used by Todd Phillips to soothe the savage neckbeard who are attacking him on the daily about adapting a show with no Batman. With using the Joker. All of his marketing has been behind the scenes look at Joaquin Phoenix doing various things. This is not a traditional modeling thing. Teasers as a traditional thing are quite a polished version of something that give you a little snippet. But Todd Phillips has been using consistent kind of updates from behind the snes, and it seems to be infecting. We could see the starts of a trend here Michael. It seems to be a way to, as I said earlier, soothe the savage neckbeard.
I thought it might be a way to kind of compete with the leaks.
Yeah, I think
if you're gonna be trying to fight leaks, why fight the leaks? Why not just instead control the leaks? He who controls the leaks controls the universe.
Yeah, just leak it yourself. Speaking of leaked things, Michael, have you seen the new Hellboy trailer that was leaked?
No.
It's up there on you. Well, it was up there on YouTube. I think they've scrubbed it clean. Looks fucking good, Michael.
Does it?
Yeah. Do you know who our favorite Doctor is? The daddy of Hellboy.
No.
It's only bloody Ian McShane, Michael. It's only bloody
Ian McShane of Deadwood.
Ian McShane of Deadwood and
Ian McShane of
American
Lovejoy.
Gods of Lovejoy and American Gods fame. Yeah, bloody good, Michael. Looks very good. He looks great as Hellboy. He's a big fucker. By the time he's done, Jesus. Looks very good there, Michael. Just speaking of leaks, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think I agree with this trend, Michael. I think it's also a way for creators to take some of the heat off themselves. For example, they'll pitch an idea, they'll leak it, and then when everybody loses their fucking minds, inevitably as they will, because you're dealing with the internet here, Michael, I'm not saying rational adults, when they lose their minds, they have the kind of a way of slipping the news, so to speak, by saying, well, it's just test footage, guys. It's just test footage.
They call that technique the Ryan Reynolds.
The Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, I guess.
It used to be a lovemaking technique, but now it's a filmography technique.
I didn't know that speaking incessantly to your partner with occasional, side jokes to meta-screen, off-screen people was called the Ryan Reynolds, but that's what I've been doing since I've been old enough to lay with ladies.
At least from the start of this podcast, for sure. Ben, I have no idea what we're talking about. You've flummoxed me with your train of thought. You're like a young...
You and every woman
James
I've
Joyce.
ever slept with, Michael. Flummoxed.
Completely flummoxed.
Completely flummoxed. Oh, Christ. We were speaking about Henry Cavill as The Witcher. What did you think of it overall, Michael? He's missing a few key attributes. He's missing a scar above the eye.
Well, Ben, it looks like they might be going back to the beginning. He might get his scar.
I think it's going to be a season 2 reveal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be here's the origin of this guy, because despite all of the fans having read all the books and played all the games, this is a new start, so it's going to be right from the beginning, and he's going to be a fresh-faced young Witcher.
Michael, you and I are big fans of controversy surrounding various things, or rather we like to pull it apart, Michael.
That's often how I describe myself, Ben. I'm a big fan of controversy surrounding things.
Yeah, and as two fans of controversy surrounding various things, what do you think of the whole thing with the original creator and Project Red? Have you heard of this?
I don't know. Nope.
Ah, okay.
Tell me.
Michael, as you so aptly pointed out to me once upon a time, you snared me in one of your classic conceits.
I gotcha.
And I said that it was a series of short stories from that America, but it's not at all, Michael. It's
from
a
Poland.
Series from Poland, yeah. And the man who wrote these particular things is none other than okay, I'm not going to get this right, but I'm going to try. Andrzej Sapkowski.
Okay.
Yeah. Once he heard that the wonderful, wonderful world of Witcher was being brought to Netflix, he's been trying to sue Project Red, or CG Projekt. Sorry, the game company who owns the rights to The Witcher now.
Right.
And the reason for that is originally when he gave the rights to the game company, he took a one-time payment.
Right.
And as we all know, that's a terrible thing to do with your property, Michael.
Yeah, because that's how you end up getting no money.
Yeah, you're supposed to take a dividend, but he was fairly certain that his series would not be adapted into a good L book. A good L game.
Right.
And so he gave it away for a one-time payment. And now that it's making some serious moolah, he wants his bloody money back, Michael. But he's got hasn't got a leg to stand on. So
does he have no? Is he disabled?
No, he's not disabled. But very funnily enough, one of the headlines I read was groundless. That's why he hasn't got a leg to stand on. It's groundless. But yeah, he kind of shot himself in the foot, Michael, and disabled himself.
You're mixing a lot of metaphors here.
Look, you and me both, buddy. Well, just me, actually. But still. He kind of shot himself in the foot a little bit earlier when he expressed kind of his regret over giving them the rights for a one-time payment. Let me see if I can find the exact quote.
This podcast magic, man.
No, can't find the quote. Anyway,
Don't worry about it.
Doesn't matter. It's interesting, but apparently he's a bit of a dick all round. This creator. Yeah, and
Based on what?
no, there's he's notoriously difficult to work with. If you meet him at conventions and stuff like that, he's a bit of a knob. He's just not one of these great lads. And yeah, he's just kind of kicking off and kind of told them that it wouldn't be much of a good game and whatever, and to give them the money now. He demanded the money basically back in the day.
So he was hoisted by his own petard.
Yeah, Project Red tried to get him to give him the rights for a share, but yeah, he didn't take them, and now
sounds like it's his own fault.
Yeah, hoisted by his own petard. I don't know how to say. I don't know much about The Witcher, so I can't give a nice analogy. But yeah, I just find it interesting, Michael, in this world of digital right management and claims to various things. That's happening. It seems that The Witcher is plagued by controversy on all sides. Michael. It's
interesting. I don't know how that deal would have worked, but it is interesting that he has somehow given away the rights to a TV show to a game company.
I think he wholesale gave the rights to representation of the character.
Did he? So he had finished writing books about it when they started the game series.
I don't know whether it's to do with adaptation or visual rights. I don't know if it's a visual adaptation rights. I'll have to look into it, Michael, for next week.
Yeah, you look into it there, Ben. You look into it for next week. Benjamin, speaking of things that are getting adapted, what would you think about watching a Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show?
I have to be honest with you, Michael. I don't think I'd give a shit about Falcon.
Oh, no.
I'd watch an Winter Soldier, but I don't know if I care that much about Falcon.
But he has the flaps.
That was a terrible choice of words, Michael. But yeah, he does have flaps. Indeed, he does. Big, bright red flaps. Sometimes white flaps. Sometimes star-spangled flaps. Depending on which flaps you're looking at from which flap era. But yeah, I wouldn't be interested in that. I'd be interested in a solo Winter Soldier thing. I'd be
more interested in a solo Winter Soldier than a buddy Winter Soldier. Imagine Falcon could be flying, holding Winter Soldier, and Winter Soldier has a gun, and they're flying through the air together, shooting bad guys and having a laugh.
I can literally tell you how that will go, Michael. Winter Soldier will be like, "Oh, I hate this," and Anthony Mackie will go, "Ha ha," and spin him a little bit higher, and that'll be the laugh, and they'll begrudgingly come to respect each other over time, and it'll be shit, Michael. Because the world is brilliant. The world is filled with buddy things. I think a nice espionage, Nikita style, going through the casebook of the Winter Soldier back in the day in Soviet Russia would be real nice.
I totally disagree with you there, Ben. I don't like going back and filling in the gaps.
I know you don't, Michael, but look, if it's a choice,
limiting.
If it's a choice between flaps or gaps, I'll take gaps every time.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Ben, there's a new film coming out at the end of the year. Oh, Ben, guess what, Ben? What? Here's an interesting thing. It was this week last year that Thor Ragnarok came out.
Oh, great film, Michael. Great film.
Wasn't that a great film?
You know what, Michael? Retrospectively, still a great fucking film. Not a bad word said about it. And never has something been more justified. It wasn't hype, Michael. It was just one of the best Marvel films to ever come out.
Yeah, it was brilliant. But here's the interesting thing, Ben. We're kind of lacking a nice November release this year.
We don't have anything, Michael. It's pretty barren out there.
It's a bit of a dry period.
Dry state.
So, Ben...
Yeah.
That means that the most exciting thing we have to look forward to in the coming weeks is the film Aquaman. I don't know why I'm singing anymore.
I can kind of guess why you're singing like that. Because traditionally, Michael, Aquaman's a bit of a laughing stock, wouldn't you say?
So Ben, here's an interesting thing just before we start. You and I are both Irishmen. And despite being slightly different generationally, we both say Aquaman.
Are you supposed to say Aquaman?
Well, Aqua is definitely how it's said in every trailer. And that's how if anyone says, I don't know if anyone will actually say it in the movie. It's one of those superhero names that you don't really need to say. It's kind of stupid.
It is very stupid, Michael. Very derivative. But not stupid enough to stop them from having 2 Aqua lads, an Aqua boy, and I think an
Aqua baby,
an Aqua teen. I think there was an Aqua teen.
No, that's Aqua Teen Hunger Force. You're thinking. There was Aqua baby, but yeah. So we're going to stick with Aqua.
Aqua, yeah, like the ill-fated '90s group of yore.
They were not ill-fated. Aqua were quite successful.
Okay, the not so ill-fated group of yore.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, do you want to set me up there for the role?
Ben, what even is an Aquaman anyway?
Yeah, so
is that
fair
it?
enough,
Was that the setup you wanted?
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for, Michael.
Okay, good.
Look, there's the gun gone off now. The Chekhov's gun from earlier in the episode
very good.
has officially been fired. We've fulfilled Chekhov's law of suspense. And we're all good now, guys. Everybody can sit down, relax, and just take in some nice information about Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
So Aquaman's an odd one, Michael.
He's an odd fish.
Well played, sir.
Yeah, I've got lots of them.
I'm looking forward to it because I've got lots of research, so I'm going to need something to break that up with a bit of levity now and then. Basically.
Come on, Ben, let's keep it flowing here. Keep it flowing.
Oh, excellent, Michael. I'm not going to get a word in edgeways. I can't wait, Michael. But yeah, look, Aquaman is kind of divisive as a figure. Mm-hmm. You could say he parts the sea on either side. Swish! But yeah, Aquaman's an interesting one, Michael. He made his first appearance in 1941.
Ben, you should have said first debut. That's one of your famous catchphrases.
First debut. His first debut, Michael. We'll cut out the original one and make me look like an ass. It's fine. It's the beauty of editing. I can look like an ass 100% of the time, every time.
Ben, for both you and the listeners, we are recording this later on Sunday night than as usual.
Clearly it affects my speech patterns, Michael.
Yes, but Ben, let me tell you this for nothing. I will not be editing that out because I will be doing this as quickly as possible so I can go to bed.
That's very fair, Michael. That's very fair. And you're very kindly taking the lion's share. Well, not the lion's share. What's the Hall one? God, I'm mixing metaphors all over the place. Doesn't matter. You're doing all the work.
Talk about Aquaman there.
Aquaman was originally appeared in 1941.
A long time ago, Ben. If
1941.
you have to calculate how many years ago was that? How many years ago would you say it was?
75?
No.
No? What was it?
That's brilliant, Ben. Well done.
70,
Never change.
What is it in actual fact?
77?
Is it 77? 75 wasn't bad for an off-the-cuff guess. How dare you?
Close enough. Yeah.
How dare you, sir? Well, anyway, he's about 77 years old. He has his 75th anniversary there a while back. He's one of the long-running ones, Michael. He's been around, and I think one of the more interesting things about Aquaman, everyone kind of has a little bit of a skit at him. He has remained popular. Aquaman is one of the few people. So as I said earlier, his first publication was in 1941 in a branded comic called More Fun Comics. Great name. And he was kind of a backup character during that time. Michael, bit of a, as you said, an odd fish. He'd stick him in the back there, and he'd have interesting adventures. And he usually narrated his own adventures, which is kind of interesting. Did you ever see Batman: The Brave and the Bold, the animated series?
Yes.
Yeah, so there was a version of Aquaman in that, big, brash and bold, and he would say, outrageous! Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. He was very good.
He was an excellent character. That is actually a bit of an homage to the original Aquaman stories because he would narrate his own adventures, and there were episodes where that Aquaman would narrate what Batman was doing. And so there was a little nod to the original ones. I think, when we think of the DC superheroes, they've always had very clearly legacy-based origin stories. You don't really fuck with Superman's dying planet. You don't really mess around with Thomas and Martha Wayne getting a serious case of lead poisoning. I
believe they were shot then.
Yeah, we don't. Very, very good there, Michael. Thanks for clearing up my analogy. I spent hours writing that. Oh, God, you stepped all over it. But yeah, you don't really mess with those. But Aquaman has 3 different origins.
Right.
at various times that have kind of shifted in and out like the tide, Michael. Like the tide. Yeah, now you can fuck off. You stepped all over my fucking carefully crafted analogy. You can get out of here. But yeah, so the original one is very strange, Michael. The original one sees the father of Arthur Curry.
Right.
A man called Tom Curry, who was not a lighthouse keeper, but a deep sea diver. Okay?
Jacques Cousteau.
Yes, similar to a Jacques Cousteau. Anyway, he's one of the world's greatest deep sea divers. And when this lad is off deep sea diving, what does he find? Only the lost city of Atlantis, Michael.
Get out of here.
Only the lost city of Atlantis.
What are the chances?
I mean, it's a classic, Michael. It's a classic. So he finds it. And he's so smart, this deep sea diver. He finds a way to get into it, right?
Yeah.
And he has a little son, little infant son at that time, Arthur Curry. Curry. AC, classic. That's the Smallville reference there for anyone keeping up. But yeah, he brings him down there, and he starts a little house down there.
As you do.
And he's so smart, Michael, that he kind of starts unearthing the ancient secrets of Atlantis, and he teaches his infant son how to breathe underwater. Now, it's too late for him, Michael, because he's an adult. But on a younger mind, he can teach him how to breathe underwater. It's real easy.
Untrue.
If you follow, patently untrue. And this is where the origin of...
Just in case there's anyone listening there who drowns their child after listening to this episode.
Whatever you do, ladies and gentlemen, do not try and teach your child to breathe underwater. They can't do it.
Nope. It's undoable.
It's undoable.
You have to cut little slits in them.
No, you don't.
So that they have gills.
No,
don't do that either.
You don't. You don't.
Don't do either of those things.
If any lawyers who do pro bono work would like to sponsor the podcast, please get in touch with me at the end of the podcast. Don't talk to Michael; he'll just get us into more trouble. Don't go harming your kids near water. Okay, just don't do it.
Keep them out of it.
If you have to sign them up for swimming lessons, do that. That's a great idea. Go sign them up for swimming lessons, but don't chuck them into the water.
Ben, in an Aquaman-related bit of news, I can't swim.
You're working on it, though.
I am, but I think possibly because my mother thought she might have to cut gills in me in order for me to be able to swim.
I mean, it's a messy enough business to deter anyone from doing it, Michael. I can't blame her. It was probably a wise decision at the time. Financially risky. You might have died. It was a whole thing. She loved you enough not to cut gills in you.
Yeah.
If anything, Mammy Mick was lovely.
That's not how naming works.
I'm not allowed to use your full name. We're supposed to be avoiding that in future episodes. Well, I certainly was trying to, but
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Here's my address. My address is. So the father taught him how to breathe underwater.
Yeah, so that's origin number one, Michael, and that's all the way back in 1941. So I mean, that's not that far from the 1930s and kind of the miracle of science magazines and stuff like that. We're not too far from that kind of era, you know. Yeah. So it's understandable that 1941 still has some of this going on. But anyway, as time goes by, things move on, and Aquaman reaches the Silver Age quite easily. Mm-hmm. What's interesting is, Michael, he's one of the few backup characters that makes the transition to full-time hero. He gets his own series, and that's largely in part due to his huge popularity at the time. This is a really interesting thing about Aquaman. So Aquaman gets his own series in the Silver Age, and he's never actually slumped. His sales, through thick and thin, have never really slumped. Now they've struggled to bring in new people. They've struggled to be taken seriously as runs, but hardcore Aquaman fans are apparently Aqua fans. That was such an easy. Shame on me. Are so into him that he doesn't really suffer sales wise, which is interesting. So his second origin kind of came in the Silver Age. They rebranded him a bit, and this is where we get the classic. My father was a lightkeeper. My mother was a queen of Atlantis.
My mother was Nicole Kidman,
and this is where the strong Atlantean mythology starts to come in. He's very much a DC version of Namor.
This is interesting, Ben. I always used to call him Namor until I heard it spoken. But apparently Namor is the correct way to say it. Was Namor the Marvel Submariner? Was he the Prince of Atlantis before Aquaman was the Prince of Atlantis?
I'm not sure. Let's do a quick little search here, Michael. I'm not sure is the answer, but anyway, the Silver Age brought the kind of living city of Atlantis back. The previous iteration had been a dead city. It was an ancient city that his father found.
Okay.
But now we had a living Atlantis again, and he was the son of both worlds. What set Aquaman apart from Namor, because Namor's a bit of a dick.
A bit of a dick.
And he's
But
even
very
more of a
sexy.
dick now. He's back being a dick. He's planning it doesn't matter. We're not talking about Namor. We're talking about Aquaman.
Can you talk about Aquaman without talking about Namor, Ben?
Not really, Michael. That's the trick. I will say that Arthur Curry, Aquaman, has a lot more dignity when it comes to dressing correctly. Namor loves a pair of Speedos.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with a man who's proud of his body.
Nothing wrong with that. So, the original Namor, I don't think he was a Prince of Atlantis. He was one of the original Defenders. Not Netflix Defenders. Fucking World War II Defenders. Captain America, the Human Torch, the Submariner, and
Some other chancers.
I don't know the other one. He became Prince Namor the Submariner later in 1968.
Ish.
Well, actually, it might have been more around 1962, but his first series was 1968. His first appearance was in Fantastic Four in 1962.
So he was just an underwater man.
Yeah.
So which of them became Prince of Atlantis first? Because Namor predates Aquaman by a couple of years.
That's a good question. He was
But I don't know
39. He was 39.
Yeah, but I don't know which one of them became Prince of Atlantis first.
That's a good question, isn't it? I mean, they're very closely modelled parallels, Michael. It's a tough call.
Interesting bit of Namor fact, Ben.
Go on.
While I was researching for this episode, I don't know if this is a true fact, but a lot of people seem to believe it. Namor was the first superhero to be able to fly.
Really?
Yeah. When he flew from his first appearance in 1939.
With his little
man was still just doing long jumps.
Yeah, leaping tall buildings in a single bound, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. With his little winged feet.
Hmm.
That was shite design, wasn't it? God, that was...
Well, Ben, it was early superhero days.
It was
they
early
just stole the
superhero
concept
days.
from the gods.
Oh, it was Hermes. It was bloody Hermes. Oh, Michael, do you know what?
What, Ben?
You're a good egg.
Always looking at things.
But anyway, whilst the popularity grew of our good friend Aquaman, in 1968, Namor got his own series, and in 1967, Aquaman took part in the ill-fated cartoon series Super Friends.
It wasn't ill-fated, Ben. It was one of the most popular cartoon series of all time.
Ill-fated for Aquaman. And the reason I say that, Michael, is the Silver Age had done quite a bit of work to rebrand the powers. So the original run as a background character had him speaking to fish.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, he literally had cheery little conversations with fish.
Nothing wrong with that. Ariel, the Little Mermaid.
Look, it's fine. I've nothing against it, but it doesn't give you a lot of gravitas when you're up against the lads. However, that was very loud. I'm going to have to edit that out before I send it over to you.
No,
However,
then you'll desync the audio, Ben. Don't do that.
However, the Silver Age began to make it so that he could telepathically command fish. So he didn't so much talk to them as push them. They increased his invulnerability. They made him as strong as Superman. He got hydrokinesis, which is a bullshit term for he could make water do what he wanted.
Yeah.
And it really started to flesh out his kind of character arc. This is where we got introduced to Vulko, who was his advisor in Atlantis, Mera, who became his wife in several iterations, Ocean Master, who's his evil twin brother. Well, not twin, not his evil twin brother, his evil half brother. Black Manta, who is still probably his greatest arch nemesis.
Yeah. He's a bit lacking in the nemesis department.
Yeah, Black Manta's a good one though. Black Manta's got some cojones. So it's good. But anyway, the thing that undoes all this is only 1967's Super Friends. In 1967's Super Friends, Michael, we bring back the talking to fish. We bring back we kind of limit Aquaman. He can't do anything if no water is around.
Yeah.
And that was a way that they always kind of tied his hands.
Yeah.
Because when you've got a lad who has command over the seven seas, Michael, you've got to find a way to tie his hands. He's a bit overpowered for a kid's Saturday morning TV show.
No, if you have Superman in
it. Superman had kryptonite every second day, Michael. We had a way to take care of that business.
In a lot of ways, Ben, you are Airman.
As in,
Because you if you don't have any air, it limits most of your powers.
it does. It really does. We're both airmen, Michael.
Yeah. Two pair of airmen.
I would hazard a guess that you'd probably survive longer with air than I would, without air than I would. But that's due to you being a man who regularly exercises and me being a man who doesn't. You know, there are many reasons
Human
for that,
frailty.
Michael. I'm very frail. That's why I like tropes so much, Michael. They make me feel warm and safe inside.
Ben, here's the thing, right? You're saying that Super Friends was kind of a low point for Aquaman. I disagree.
Okay.
Because did you know that in 1972, the action figure corporation Mego released their first line of action figures? And Mego, it was a different time, the early 70s.
Okay.
So they got the licenses basically for all superheroes.
Good.
Across all companies and all media.
Oh man, what a day that would be today, eh?
I know, it would be incredible. So they had, for example, the Green Hornet. They had the rights for the Green Hornet and Spider-Man. And Benjamin, do you know who the first 4 characters in the first wave of their superhero line were?
I'm guessing it was Aquaman, Superman.
1972, Ben. Superman, Batman, Robin, and Aquaman.
That makes more sense.
The 4 most popular superheroes of the time.
That makes a lot more sense. I
think that in the Super Friends era, remember the Super Friends had bloody, what were they called? Zim and Zam? Bloody...
Yeah, the twins, the Wonder Twins.
The twins, yeah.
The Wonder Twins.
So if you needed someone to make fun of, you had those dweebs.
Michael, just to add to the burning pyre of Aquaman's dignity, he rode around on a giant pink seahorse, Michael.
And why wouldn't you? You had to get somewhere.
There's no such thing as a giant pink seahorse, Michael.
There's no such thing as a man who has the power to control the aqua.
Well, first of all, you and I have not been to Atlantis, so we don't know that. Michael, we don't know that. Don't go around.
Where are you getting this no big seahorse statement then? You son of a bitch.
Yes,
seahorse denier. Ben, so what I'm saying is, I think that a lot of the negativity towards the Super Friends Aquaman, and Ben, I'm not old enough to have been there for this, so I never saw Super Friends. But I think a lot of the negativity towards Aquaman didn't come from then. It came from later.
Okay.
It came from Cartoon Network in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Doing what?
Joking about Aquaman being useless.
That did become a thing, but I think the roots of that were probably from Super Friends.
Well, I think they used Super Friends is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They use clips from Super Friends to make fun of him. But the Super Friends show itself didn't really make fun of him that much. Then again, Ben, I don't know it that well.
No, it wouldn't. I think that's probably what made it worse. Is in no way was Aquaman joked about on Super Friends, but he was incredibly clean-cut, moral, and wholesome.
Sounds like a good bloke.
Good bloke, but easy cannon fodder for later adaptations.
When things started getting a bit meta.
Yeah, when we enjoyed the meta, like for example, he's always the key joke in any Robot Chicken special, and I know that isn't really much of a benchmark, but he was the go-to joke for a long time. Now, this led to a number of things, but of course, comic book creators who seem to lack an understanding of the word subtlety. Basically, the way they tried to correct this was to make him an edgelord, Michael, several times throughout his thing.
His barbarian reimagining.
Yeah, so this is kind of how we got to the 1990s run by a man called Peter David. And Peter David, my God, did he rough and tumble Aquaman up?
Yeah.
So the first thing that Peter David did was he gave him a brand new origin, because we like to re-scrub the origins now and then. So Arthur Curry's father became his adoptive father on Earth, and he was actually the son of the Queen of Atlantis, and an ancient Atlantean wither called Atlan. 10 out of 10 points for creativity there. Ancient Wizard of Atlantis, Atlan. Yeah, and that's who he was the son of. So that's his royal kind of heritage. And that doesn't do much, Michael, except that all of a sudden, we kind of tore the rug out from under Aquaman. So the man he believed to be his true father, was not his true father.
Oh, classic. We've all been there.
And so what happens there is, have we? I'm gonna have to ring my dad after this and ask him if he got something to tell me. Shit. But anyway, what happened there, Michael, was then we got a very brooding Aquaman.
Yeah.
A brooding, unhygienic Aquaman. We gave up shaving. We gave up getting the regular haircuts.
Hold on. Not shaving doesn't mean you're unhygienic.
We didn't have our battle armor. You would say that, Michael. You would say that. You bloody razor denier. Yeah, see, I'm calling it back, Michael. I'm taking things from the past and weaving them back into the present. But yeah, we got a very brooding Aquaman. He loses his hand at one point.
Yeah, gets chopped off.
What does he do there, Michael? He bloody shoves a harpoon in there. That's not hygienic. That's
exactly what I would do.
He snaps a harpoon off and he shoves it into the socket. And we get a very aggressive new Aquaman, and his powers get a bit of a boost. All of a sudden, he's kind of a Superman level strength-wise. Mm-hmm. What kind of takes him out of there is that he's not nearly as durable as Superman.
He's only a bit bulletproof, isn't he?
Yeah, and then he becomes... I think the tricky thing there, Michael, is he becomes a lot more like Namor all of a sudden.
Yeah, see?
He becomes an eco-warrior, surface-hating kind of guy. And
Atlantis first.
I think, yeah, exactly.
Atlanticsit.
Yeah, air breathers' lives don't matter kind of guy.
Yeah.
And so this kind of reaches a peak, and a great way to see this character development is to take a look at the Bruce Timm Justice League series, where Aquaman makes an appearance over 3 episodes.
Ben, interestingly, only 3 episodes.
Only 3 episodes.
Considering he's one of the founders of the Justice League.
One of the founders, but he didn't fit into Bruce Timm's vision of the League.
No.
But he does come back in this, and I think he doesn't fit into Bruce Timm's vision of the League because he was too edgy at the time of the creation of that league. That run was still in full effect with Peter David, and he was a very aggressive character all of a sudden. He had he kept that beard, shaggy hair, warrior king attitude for a long time. Hook-handed. The hand changes now and again. He has a water hand, a water kinesis hand here and there. I don't know if that, it's all interesting. But anyway, it's a great way to see a summation of that character is to look at that Justice League episode where he's just a bit of a dick, Michael. And then I think what's kind of saved the character in recent years, Michael, is the rebirth of DC, the New 52 and Rebirth. Jeff Johns got his hand on the character. As we know, Michael, in the DC universe, if you give Jeff Johns your character, 2 things are going to happen. You're going to get, first of all, a fantastic artist who'll sign on to do it with you.
Who did they get?
He has some of the best. No, Jeff Johns did the designs. Jeff Johns occasionally does art, but I think Gary Frank joined him in rebooting the original thing. Gary Frank does some really fantastic, kind of almost real to life superheroes. Great at a gritty redesign, but not.
Does he have a seahorse?
No, he goes back to his classic design, Michael. He's just a bit more of a serious character. So the other thing that you'll always get with Jeff Johns is he'll haul your character back to the best possible version.
The version from Smallville.
Well, I mean, AC is a great version, Michael. I wouldn't call him the best version of Aquaman out there. I personally, for me, the best version of Aquaman is the Brave and the Bold one. Because I just love that character. I think he's an amazingly larger than life thing. But Jeff Johns hauled him back. He got rid of Mera. He pared all that back. And really, one of the things that's very interesting about the new series then was all the meta humor. For example, Aquaman, the opening scene of the Aquaman thing is he saves the day from a bunch of cops and robbers. And he's bulletproof, super strong, and it kind of shows off his power set in a great way. And then the other thing that happens, Michael, is he sits down in a diner and he orders the fish special.
Yo, fish and chips.
And the waiter goes, "You can't do that." And Aquaman says, "Why not?" And he says, "Well, aren't they your friends?" And he goes, "I'm not friends with fish." And this is an interesting thing, Michael. It's a recognition of a food chain. It's a recognition of not all fish are created equal. It raises some interesting questions. But throughout the series, there are jokes made about this kind of the misconceptions of Aquaman. Don't you talk to fish? And he constantly has to kind of state, I don't talk to fish.
But does he talk to fish?
Yeah, I mean, he does talk to fish, Michael. We all know. We all know he talks to fish.
Get a hold of yourself, Aquaman.
But anyway, this has kind of led to a resurgence in the character. I have always been a fan of Aquaman, Michael, because once upon a time, and this is a little trip down memory lane for Benjamin.
Here we go. Yeah.
My father, who knew I was getting into comics at the time, and used to work in Dunleary, went to the Oxfam in Dunleary, just have a little mooch on his lunch break.
Tell people what an Oxfam is, Ben?
Oxfam is a charity organisation that receives second-hand goods and sells them on. All profits made go back to charity here in Ireland. Allegedly, but Oxfam is a bit of a dodgy organisation at the best of times. If you or anyone you know wants to sponsor Oxfam, do a bit of research first. I wouldn't just jump in there with 2 feet running. So that's the end of Oxfam for us. They won't be sponsoring us anytime soon.
No.
But anyway, back when my father didn't know any of this, he was in the Oxfam store and he saw a big old box of comics, Michael, on the floor. And rather interesting to him, Michael, because they were all a little bit damaged and a little bit worn, they were all on sale, the whole box, for £10.
How cheap, Ben?
There was about 50 comics in that box, Michael. It was a bloody bargain. And my father, being the kind and supportive man that he always has been, knew his son was getting into comics, so he just picked up the box, paid the £10 and brought it home to me.
What a good egg.
Apropos of nothing, Michael. I would say around 15 years old, Michael. Mm-hmm. I was in the middle of my junior cert. I was a virgin, Michael. I was having a real tough time, Michael. Yeah. Because bloody, I wasn't getting any.
Yeah, you could relate to Aquaman.
I could relate to Aquaman. Aquaman wasn't getting any. So my dad just comes home, apropos of nothing, and plonks down a big box of comics in front of me. There was no study done that evening, Michael. I was reading comics, and in there was
your magic hand wasn't getting anything wet.
Nothing wet, Michael. If anything, it was giving me bloody burns. In a certain area, friction abounded, Michael. But anyway, enough of my prepubescent sex life. No, that wasn't prepubescent, mid-pubescent sex life.
And what was in the box, Ben?
The bloody 90s run of Aquaman, Michael. There was a whole 90s run of Aquaman, and I loved him. I loved all the edgy things as a 15-year-old is want to do. I thought he was great.
Peter David Aquaman.
Pretty grim and gritty Peter David Aquaman, and it was great, Michael. I really enjoyed it. But the new run is just fantastic. Some of the best writing. Because the great thing about the new run, Michael, is that it has the whole world of the undersea to play with. There's a whole mythology there that hasn't been expanded in DC Comics before. And I think that's given a lot of room for creators to play around. A special was just launched there the other week, Michael. This week of recording.
This very week, yes.
Called The Drowned Earth. And basically the gods of other planets, the kind of aqua beings of other planets, have come to Earth to basically bring back the old Atlanteans. Atlantis has 2 iterations. There's ancient Atlantis and there's modern day Atlantis.
So there's Atlantis and there's Atlantis for Atlantis.
Exactly. And, all the political issues that exist in something like that. But anyway, these things have come back and the Earth is currently being submerged underwater in DC Comics. And more importantly, the water is infectious and it's turning people into kind of sea monsters. Think
that's good, but at least it'll survive.
The monster from the Black Lagoon for everyone.
Or the shape of water.
That's an even better analogy, Michael. Thank you very much. So it's interesting to see that. But some of the most interesting content is coming out of there. And it's really interesting to see Mera, the wife of Aquaman, has become a really huge character in her own right. She has her own miniseries going at the moment. And the two have become very much a duo.
Because she's going to be in the film, you see, Ben.
She's going to be
cross-promotional genius.
It's cross-promotion, but she has been heading that way for a long time. Mera has always been as strong as Aquaman and vice versa. And it's kind of interesting to see that dynamic. We don't often see a strong wife-husband duo in comics anymore.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
A lot of lone wolfing. Not husband and wife, Michael. And in the comics, he beat her up.
Well, we do an episode on that.
We'll do an episode on that a little bit later. But I mean, Aquaman himself has spawned many great characters. Fan favorite is Black Manta. Everybody hates Black Manta. He's real evil, real bad egg.
Aqua Baby.
He was recently Aqua Baby. What a tool. Yeah, just not a good guy. But one of the big breakaways there, Michael, was Aqua Lad from now almost legendary status animated show Young Justice.
Yeah,
Aqualad is a huge fan favorite. Actually, the estranged son of Black Manta. Dun, 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 dun.
And he has water magic.
He has water magic, and he is the leader as opposed to Robin. Great character, great voice acting, huge fan favorite. You know, it's interesting to see how this character has spawned so much, and he has always remained a tenant of the DC universe. He's never really gone away for very long, Michael.
No,
it's interesting.
It's interesting, Ben. Just thinking about the film Justice League, because he's in that. You see,
yeah, played by the wonderful Jason Momoa, who just plays himself.
Yeah, he plays himself. Here's the thing, Ben. Isn't it odd? This isn't even about Aquaman.
Okay.
But one of the most important things about the Justice League is that there are 7 of them.
Yeah, unite the 7,
right?
Michael.
There's always 7.
Yeah.
Right. Like, even if you look at pastiches of the Justice League, one of the ways you do a Justice League pastiche is to have 7 of them.
Yeah,
you look at Marvel Squadron Supreme, there's 7. If you look at The Boys, there's the 7.
Yeah,
there's always 7.
There's always 7.
And then in the bloody film, there were only 6 of them.
Bullshit, Michael.
What were they thinking, Ben?
Bullshit, Michael.
Should have let us do it.
We should have done it, Michael. We should be doing all the superhero movies, Michael. I don't know what Hollywood's thinking.
Some of them, maybe.
All of them, Michael. You heard me. I didn't misspeak.
I don't know if you've been keeping track of this, but in the current Avengers run, Namor is up to something as well, attacking the surface world.
There was a very vicious series of panels put into the L Comics there, where he fed a former ally to a former Avenger, Stingray.
Yeah. Stingray, yeah.
To some big fuck-off sharks, Michael.
Yeah, he's recruiting all of the undersea characters to lead a kind of undersea Avengers kind of deal. I can't remember what they're called. Aquavengers? Aqua Defenders?
Oh, fuck it. Namor's a dick.
He is a dick. But Ben, do you think that may be due to the fact that there is an Aquaman movie coming out and they're trying to get some of that sweet, sweet underwater money?
Well, I think it's interesting, Michael, that Namor is threatening to flood... Oh, there it is there. That's a nice cover. It's interesting there that Namor is threatening to flood the surface world.
Defenders of the Deep.
Oh, fuck, that's a shit name. But I find it interesting, Michael, that... oh, yeah, Jesus, that's a lot of torso. Yeah, I find it interesting, Michael, that in classic kind of Marvel DC style, Marvel or DC has just released their Drowned Earth series, and now Marvel is threatening to do a Drowned Earth series all their own.
That's what I'm saying. Isn't it interesting? They're getting that sweet underwater money.
Yeah, it'll probably be called Sunken Planet.
Ben, who are your favourite underwater characters bar Aquaman?
Bar Aquaman. That's a good question, Michael. I don't really have any...
Personally, I like Abe Sapien.
Abe Sapien's a great underwater character, Michael. You beat me to it. Well played, sir. Actually, one of the evil Batmen in the DC Metal series was the Drowned. I think that's what she was called. She was an evil gender-bent version of
Underwater Batman Aquaman.
Underwater Batman Aquaman. Great character. Very dark, very twisted. In terms of other characters, Michael, I don't know that many.
Did you ever read Fathom?
I did. No, I know what Fathom is. It's the L. Michael Turner bikini-clad gig.
Yeah.
Any good? Michael?
I've never read it.
No, I never read it either. Right, that's a great note to end on, ladies and gentlemen. Both your hosts don't know one of the things. Do you have a favourite? Do you have a favourite underwater character? Do you agree with this? Do you think Namor is a bit of a dick?
He is a bit of a dick. What would your underwater superhero name be? Mine would be Splish Splash.
Mine would be still a bit damp. Yeah.
Yours would be Aquaben.
Aquaben would probably definitely be it. If you would like to see Aquaben's call to action, take a look at our Instagram page there. Michael has definitely real hair and has released a call to action.
No, Ben, that's a wig. That was a wig.
Feck, you got me again, Michael. Hair. I've lost another round of... Wigger real. But seriously, folks, I know we're a shite podcast, but do leave us a review down there on iTunes. Podcasting gold across the airwaves there. No, but seriously, do you like Aquaman? Has Aquaman got a special place in your heart? Did your mother try to put gills in your throat to teach you to swim? Let us know this and any other underwater facts down below. Abe Sabian's a fucking great character, Michael. That was a good character. Good shout.
He's a good underwater man.
Good shout. Good shout. Anyway, that's all from us, folks. We're on Instagram as usual. You will see this on YouTube. If you're listening to us on YouTube, give us a comment down below. If you're listening to this anywhere else, get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. That was goodbye in Atlantean. Boom.